What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we are back here with a reaction video that I've had sent to me over the last couple days from a very popular channel called Clarke, or look, something like that. The original link in the description. We've reacted to plenty of their content before, and it's some of the most best content on YouTube, animated, and just about really interesting stuff. So today we've got what happens after nuclear war. Very self-explanatory, goes for 11 minutes. Get your snacks, get your mum, get your dad, get your pet dog or cat, or just look, anything, to be honest, and we're going to jump straight into this one. Let's do it. What happens after nuclear war?
Nuclear war would forever split human history.
Would it?
Into anything that happened before and the post-war apocalypse. In the worst case, mass fires consume everything within tens of thousands of square kilometers, killing hundreds of millions within hours.
Nice.
But the worst part comes after that. Nuclear war could trigger a nuclear winter that might kill billions, maybe even completely collapsing our civilization. How does it work? And what would it look like? Fire causes winter. When a nuclear weapon is detonated, a bubble of gas hotter than the sun is forced into existence, so hot that everything within kilometers immediately begins to burn. The terror bubble expands rapidly, filling the sky over its target, creating a devastating shockwave that causes most of the immediate destruction. Basically, you break a lot of stuff and set it on fire. And in the worst case, this turns into a firestorm that consumes everything and everyone on the ground.
Nice.
Right after the explosion, a gigantic mushroom cloud rises over the destruction like a demon throttling over its perverse.
And that's how it makes it dark.
But in the following hours, a far more deadly cloud forms. The fire burning cities, forests, or fields heats up so much air that it creates its own microclimate and wind system.
That's crazy.
Hot air and hot smoke rise, pulling in fresh air from the surroundings and fresh oxygen, stoking the flames even more. This creates an updraft and forms a colossal pyrocumulonimbus cloud that carries the soot and aerosols from the flames high into the stratosphere. Under normal conditions, the soot rising from a big fire is quickly washed out by rain. But a pyrocumulonimbus cloud can reach altitudes well above the height where rain clouds
Jesus.
form. Once above the tropopause, there's simply no weather to remove soot from the atmosphere, so it can stay aloft for years. If this happens to a single city, it's a tragedy, but a fairly local one. But in a full-scale nuclear war, warring nations following the cold logic of mutually assured destruction could use hundreds or even thousands of nuclear weapons all at once, creating hundreds of firestorms, sending up to 150 million tons of soot, a cube the size of a skyscraper, directly into the stratosphere.
That doesn't seem great.
Weeks, the soot begins to blanket the Earth
hold on.
altitudes, absorbing light high above the ground.
Look at, hold on a minute. Look at Australia. Look, I know this only probably works for me, but pretty much everyone else is covered. Moral of the story, move to Australia or New Zealand and you might be okay. Look at this. There's that much ocean. We might be okay. Hold on, don't get to Australia.
Reaching the surface.
Oh, it didn't even get us. Let's go.
The sky turns dark and the sun disappears.
Oh, the crops.
Winter is what happens when just a little less sunlight hits the ground, and now suddenly a lot less sunlight gets
Yeah,
through.
it'd be stuffed.
Yesterday, the world was normal.
Nice.
Today, nuclear winter begins.
Oh, that can't be
Winter
good.
causes hunger. How bad nuclear winter would be is still an active area of research. It all hinges on one thing. How much stuff will burn really hot? How many firestorms would be caused by the heat
Everything.
of the explosions? This depends on many factors, from the materials a city is made of, to the time of the year, if a forest is nearby, and so on. So just keep in mind, we're working with some assumptions. Here's the good news. Nuclear winter is not permanent, and definitely no new ice age. The effects on the climate only last as long as the soot remains in the atmosphere, which is at most a decade or so until it clears out and temperatures normalize. The bad news is that this causes almost immediate climate change within a few weeks. It disrupts our climate system faster than any living being can adapt to. In this new climate, our seasons are suddenly all wrong. Winters are much longer, summers shorter and colder, or gone altogether. This also means less evaporation over the oceans, which means less rain and maybe large-scale droughts. This is bad because our food eats the sun. Without good summers and enough rain, growing seasons shrink or even collapse.
Be over.
The majority of humanity lives in an area called the mid-latitude, a strip of land that has the ideal temperature for our species, not just because it's not too hot or cold, it's also where the plants we eat grow best. The vast majority of the food we eat stems from a few highly efficient crops that are mostly produced in a few very agriculturally productive regions like the US Great Plains or Ukraine. From these bread and rice baskets of the world, they get traded and shipped around the world. In the worst case of a full-scale nuclear war, the temperatures in the mid-latitudes will probably stay below freezing for several years. Nothing at all can grow under these conditions, and the world's bread baskets would suddenly turn empty. If food production crashes, the world's food producers would very likely ramp up prices or even stop selling food to other countries, if they're still able to farm their fields at all. It's easy to calculate how many people can be alive on Earth. You take all the calories we can produce and divide them by what the average person needs to survive. If you have more people than calories, then within a few weeks, you don't anymore. Humanity has only a few weeks' supply of crops and food, not enough to survive this drastic drop in production. But the climate is not the only issue. Modern industrialized agriculture is a complex affair that relies on functioning supply chains to provide unthinkable amounts of industrially produced fertilizer and chemicals to kill weeds and vermin. Massive numbers of specialized modern machinery is plowing, sowing, harvesting, and distributing. After a nuclear war, especially if the countries that produce the food were part of the nuclear exchange, there may simply be no more fuel, fertilizer, or machine parts because there are no more oil refineries, ports, and other essential infrastructure left, damaging global food production even more. Okay, so now that we've set the stage, let's look at what science says about...
I just wanted to pause it before we get into the next stage of the end of this video. Moral of the story that I'm getting from this is that we would be completely effed. I don't want to use the naughty word because, you know, YouTube gets a bit emotional with that sometimes, but moral of the story, we're stuffed. Okay, let's see what else can happen. Can we survive it anymore? I mean, yeah, I'll talk about it at the end of the video, but I do have an idea that might save humans. All right, just keep it in mind, all right?
And the actual wars that could happen.
It could.
Actual nuclear war.
All right.
Today, there are two main conflicts that scientists think about when making calculations of nuclear winter.
Oh, really?
A nuclear war between India and Pakistan, and one between the US and Russia.
Damn. Obviously, USA, Russia, obviously I knew that one. And obviously having this channel, knowing a bit of the backstory on India, Pakistan, and a lot of things that have obviously happened during those conflicts. I didn't know that they would be at the state of potential, nuclear war, though. I just thought it would be more on-ground military stuff, not in the air. But, okay, that's there you go. There's two possible ones that could finish us up. And obviously, Australia, we're in the striking zone for that one. Oh, no.
The most likely smallish nuclear exchange would be fought today between India and Pakistan, with relatively low-yield weapons.
Okay, phew.
Even in a pretty mild nuclear war like this, the immediate explosions would kill around 27 million people, which is horrible enough.
Bro, I thought you said small weapons, not 27 million people weapons. Like no one. That's what sort of weapons I was thinking, but okay. Reality hits you quickly, doesn't it? Goodness.
More people would die than in all of World War I.
What?
Fires would not cause a nuclear winter, but a mild nuclear autumn. But even this would disrupt the climate.
Bro, what about the IPL? What would happen to cricket? Anyways, that's less important, but gee whiz. That would be devastating. Anyways, it's a fake video. It's not real, remember? Hold on.
By global agriculture, enough to starve up to 250 million people worldwide.
Oh, great.
Unfortunately, India and Pakistan are in an arms race and have been increasing the number and power of warheads in their arsenal. The next stage of escalation would be war with hundreds of nuclear weapons.
Oh no.
The bombs and fires destroying many major population centers and killing over 100 million people. A war on this scale would cause a nuclear winter that would damage global agriculture enough to cut the available calories for humanity in half. The number of people that starve to death would be as high as 2 billion.
2 billion?
1 in 4 humans alive today.
Bro, nah. Last pause of the video, but think about that. If only 2 countries went to that, what he just explained, if they went to those possibilities, that would, the amount of, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but the rhythms that it would send to the other countries that would ruin their agriculture and would have a big impact on countries that are even on the other side of the world. Like, bro, that is nuts to think that 2 countries could make a ripple effect. That's what I was looking for, ripple, on the entire world. That's all it takes is 1 or 2 countries to make a mistake and we all suffer. Oh, brother. All right, it just shows live while you're here, man, and enjoy, because you just never know, do we?
Woo. Is a full-scale global war between NATO nations and Russia.
Oh.
China, which also continues to build its nuclear arsenal.
Oh,
In a
no.
war between a former, future, and current superpower, thousands of nuclear weapons could be detonated. In a scenario with around 4,400 nuclear weapons, 360 million people would perish right away. We have no other event to even compare the death and destruction to. It's like humanity dropping an asteroid on itself. The nuclear winter that follows such an apocalyptic war would tank human calorie production by as much as 90%. Not only would almost all of our agriculture take an immediate and deadly hit, the climate would take at least a decade to recover.
It'd be dry.
Because a war like this would specifically hit the world regions that produce most of the food for humanity, recovery will be much, much harder than with other conflicts.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, the global death toll from starvation could rise to about 5 billion. In mid-latitude countries like Russia, China, Canada, the US, and much of Europe, only a few % of the population might survive. Humanity will never be the same again.
Australia! Oh my god! Yes, we're still going. Oh, we're still here, man. Australia is still on the map, and that's... Look, again, it's not real. This isn't going to happen, hopefully, but the fact that we're still here on the calculations, this means something to me, man. This is me right here. Look at me.
While nowhere is truly safe, some nations in the southern hemisphere may fare well enough to endure, while the rest of the world
Australia! Yes!
All the nuclear weapon states are in the northern hemisphere, so a few countries like Australia, New Zealand and Argentina may be able to endure for a bunch of different reasons.
Oh my god.
Their nuclear winter would be milder, they have a lot of livestock that would not be affected as crops, so they would probably stop exporting food and focus on keeping their own people alive.
Oh wow.
Assuming they aren't invaded for their food by other starving nations. It's safe to say that the world would become...
I didn't really consider that last part, that other countries would then come here and try and take our stuff. But look, we're pretty nice over here. You know, look, hopefully it doesn't come to that. We love you all. Hold on.
Pleasant for a long time, and it's impossible to know how many people would have died when the nuclear winter ends.
Oh man, a few.
In the worst case, human civilization could collapse, and the survivors would be thrown back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Slowly trying to recover a world full of scars and graves.
Damn it.
Eventually, when they've rebuilt civilization, would they ever build nuclear weapons again?
You'd hope not, wouldn't you? You'd seriously hope not.
That we need to do anything.
Hey man, I think that's the end of the video. It looks like the rest of this is just an advertisement. Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're going to cap it off right there. Let's go back to right here, because obviously this would hopefully be the end result. And the question that he asked at the end, if after all of that happened, civilization crushed, and then, 100 years later, we got back into the position as human civilization where people decided maybe we shouldn't create mass weapons of destruction that can officially ruin everyone and ruin the world. But you know what? People think differently. Some people aren't very nice, and seems like you got to have these things ready if in case. And hey man, let's just hope we never get to this position, and we'll see what happens. Look, of course, we did see that Australia might be okay if that happened, but to be brutally honest, if there's no sport, which would be the case, I don't want it. So to be honest, it'll be all of us. But hey, I hope we all enjoyed that. It was a fascinating and interesting video. I hope you all took something from that as well. And honestly, moral of the story is that yes, we would all be finished, but it just shows like it's so unpredictable, this world. Just do what you want, be happy, smile, make things that make you happy, be around your family and live it up while you're here, because we seriously don't know when it could be over. Dead set. It's actually crazy to think about. So hey, I hope we all enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see everyone in the next one.